What's up, everybody? Jeffrey Bannock here. Let me make sure we're live in the group. Get this bad boy going here. Hello, hello. Where are you? Why aren't you? Software. There we go. All right. And looks like we are live in the group now. All right. Looks good. Looks good. Okay. So today we're going to be jumping into Genesis 9 through 11. That's Genesis 9 through 11. Where we last finish off, or God had just destroyed the world. He had just literally came down and opened up the heavens and had helped Noah to build the ark, which I was surprised a little bit. I thought there'd be, in movies and stuff, you just think that there's so much more direction where God was like basically like build it this big, this big, this big. Yeah, I'm going to make sure that there's 3 levels. I'm going to send you 2 of everything and just make sure they're in there. And yeah, there you go. Make sure your family's in there. Everybody else done. So I thought that was really interesting that it just was that short. There really wasn't a lot to it. It just, and then, after it's over, God said, go out in the world and multiply and be fruitful, which, is one of the real tenets and important things that I think that so many people overlook with things nowadays, especially when it comes to families and relationships. And even, let me change something real quick. I want to see if I can change the. I thought this was a higher. Have to make sure that it's set better at a higher at 1080p. I thought it was set at 7. So, but anyway, I thought it was really interesting that that's one of the things a lot of people tend to overlook. I feel like is that one of the core things God wants people to do is go out there and be fruitful and multiply, and it's something that we don't look at anymore. So many people are about me and about self, and you see it with so many things. It's funny now that I'm really starting to really walk the path of Jesus and the Word of God, how much I see other people that are using other things. And I'm not saying that they might work, but if it's not of God, it truly is of the devil, then I would assume, you know what I mean? And I see a lot of people that are doing, like energy work and stuff like that. And they give it all different types of names. But it's still like about self, you know what I mean? Whether it's, herbs or whatever, it's always about self, where I find that the walk with God in Christianity is more about serving God and about other than self, helping others, getting closer to God, giving up a lot of self so that you can be closer to God. I mean, that's another thing. It's really about a lot of sacrifice, and it doesn't. And I hate using that word because it always automatically has a negative connotation to it, where people are just like, I don't want to sacrifice, I don't want to have to submit. But if you look at what you're sacrificing, they're just earthly pleasures, you know what I mean? Like so many of them. And like really, if you look at all the list of different sins and things like that, we're going to trip and stumble, but realistically, so many of them are easy, not easy, but you can give up. You know what I mean? Just like working out, it's when you first start doing it, it's hard, but the more you get into it, the more you work out regularly, the easier it gets. And giving up sin is like the same. It's so funny because so many people think that, and we'll get to the reading in a minute. I just felt to go out on a little talk here for a second, but it's so funny when people first find Christ. I think so many people think everything is going to be roses and sunshine, and it's not. All the sins that were there are there still. All those problems, anything related to it's there. It's not just because you're now your spirit and soul's cleansed that everything earthly is going to be instantly better. And that's for anyone watching. That's one of the things I'm thinking about. I'd really like to form a group of seasoned entrepreneurs, and not say seasoned in age, but seasoned in experience, that are Christian, faith-based entrepreneurs that would like to work together and sort of have like a support group both in the Word of God, but also in business and things like that. Because I was thinking about this today. Um, I have some friends and acquaintances and people that I've started to meet that are walking in Christ, but I don't have anybody that can talk to look to for support or reflection or advice or different things like that are sort of experienced. So if you're interested in that, let me know in the comments. That's something that I'm looking to put together. I guess it could be like a Christian business fellowship, maybe you could call it, but something to where people are higher level entrepreneurs that have had some success that aren't just starting out. Because here's the deal too. I feel like I've been doing some counseling and helping people and coaching and consulting for Christian and based entrepreneurs. But again, it's like and I don't want to sound like it's all about me, because it's not, but I'd like to be able to get something out of it. I've been giving a lot, and I'd like to be able to have some support myself or something that people I can bounce ideas off of that can, help to elevate me, so that I can help to elevate them, and then we can continue elevating everyone together. So anyway, that's just my little spiel for this morning. Something I was thinking about. If any of that makes sense to you, let me know in the comments. I can reach out to you, and we'd see. It'd be a free group. We'd get like a Telegram channel or something. I think that's been working really well. Just somewhere where we can communicate. Like if you got ideas, questions, comments, concerns, you can drop it in there, and maybe 10 to 12 guys or girls, whatever works. But yeah, that's sort of what I'm thinking of, because I'd really like to have somewhere where, we could bounce ideas off each other, and talk to people that are on the same path, that's been down this path for a while now to some degree too. So anyway, on with today's reading. So Genesis chapter 9. So God, and I was originally trying to figure out how to do this, and I've had several people that said that they appreciated me just reading it sort of raw like this, because I have read the parts of the Bible, but I've never read through it. So some of the stuff I'm literally seeing for the first time, which is crazy to say, but it's true. I wasn't sure, but let me know what you think in the comments. But that was what I've got from several different people, is they appreciated just the rawness of me reading it and then interpreting it for my first time. And some of it might be right, some of it might be wrong, but that's really what I'm going with right now. So thanks so much for joining, and let me know what you think. So anyway, back into it, chapter 9. So God blessed Noah and his sons and said to them, "Be fruitful, multiply, and fill the earth. And the fear of you and the dread of you shall be." I should really, these glasses make it hard to read for some reason. Shall be on every beast of you, and the dread of you shall. Let's see if I can move these. Yeah, I actually read better with these not on. Every beast of the earth, on every bird of the air, on all that move on the earth, and all the fish of the sea. They're giving into your hand. Every moving thing that lives shall be food for you. So there you go, right there, chapter 9. It says right there, God put everything on the earth for us to fulfill us, so that we can go out and do his main covenant here. Requirement is to go out and be fruitful and multiply, and to spread among the earth. So I think that's important to look at. A lot of people worry all the time, and that again, there's always extenuating circumstances, like we shouldn't treat animals really poorly, but they are there meant for us to be used to be able to grow and sustain and multiply. So interesting little point right there for anyone that always is like, well, we shouldn't eat animals. We should only eat, fruits and vegetables and things like that, different things. And even says next, I've given you all things, even the green herbs, but you shall not eat fish with its life, that is blood. What does that mean? You shall not eat flesh with its life, not flesh, that is its blood. Surely your lifeblood will demand it, a reckoning from the head of every beast I will require it. and from the hand of man, and from the hand of every man's brother, I will require life of man. And it says, whoever sheds man's blood, by man his hand shall be shed. For in the image of God he made man. And as for you, be fruitful, multiply, bring forth abundant earth, and multiply in it. So I'm wondering if he's like talking about like murder there. But you shall not eat flesh with its life, that is its blood. I'm gonna have to research that. That's interesting. What it means by that. If anyone's watching this right now and has a comment on that, I'd love to know what that. But you shall not eat flesh with its life, that is its blood. Surely for your lifeblood I will demand a reckoning. Now, does reckoning, is that like sacrifice? Let's see what it says. I have to read and study that more and come back to it. I have to read the study part and come back. All right. Then God spoke to Noah and his sons with him, saying, and as for me, behold, I establish my covenant with you and with your descendants after you, and with every living creature that is with you, the birds, the cattle, and every beast of the earth with you, of all that go out of the ark, every beast of the earth. Thus I establish my covenant with you. Never again shall all flesh be cut off by the water of the flood. Never again shall there be a flood to destroy the earth. And God said, this is the sign of the covenant which I make between you and me and every living thing that is you for perpetual generations. I set my rainbow in the cloud, and it shall be for the sign of the covenant between me and the earth. It shall be when I bring a cloud over the earth, that the rainbow shall be seen in the cloud, and I will remember my covenant, which is between me and you and every living creature of all flesh. The waters shall never again become a flood to destroy all flesh. The rainbow shall be in the cloud, and I will look on it to remember the everlasting covenant between God and every living creature of the flesh and the earth. And God said to Noah, this is the sign of the covenant which I have established between me and all the flesh that is on earth. Which is interesting that Pride and LGBTQ use the rainbow as their flag. Now, I imagine for them, they use it because they're thinking diversity, because they have every different color of the rainbow or whatever. But it's sort of flip-flop in a way. I wonder if they realize that they're actually, when they put the rainbow flag out, it's a symbol of the covenant between God and Moses that he'll never destroy the earth again. So it's an interesting twist of symbology that's being used right there. Very interesting. I wonder how many people that are in LGBTQ know that the rainbow is actually a signal of the covenant between Moses and God that he'll never destroy the earth again. Interesting. Noah and his sons. Now the sons of Noah went out of the ark, were Shem, Ham, and Japheth. I keep messing that one up. And Ham was the father of Canaan. These three were the sons of Noah, and from these the whole earth was populated. And Noah began to be a farmer, and he planted a vineyard. Then he drank of the wine and was drunk, and become uncovered in his tent. Ham, the father of Canaan, saw the nakedness of his father and told his two brothers outside. But Shem and Japheth took a garment, laid it on both their shoulders, and went backward and covered the nakedness of their father. Their faces were turned away, and they did not see their father's nakedness. So Noah woke from his wine and knew that his younger son had done to him. He said, "Cursed be Canaan, a servant of servants, he shall be his brethren." And he said, "Blessed be the Lord, the God of Shem, and may Canaan be his servant." Interesting. So, in the first thing, right off the bat, one of the first things Noah does is make a vineyard and get drunk. So I would have to think too that, before this, there was civilization. So I would think they had vineyards and everything. And that's where he'd know how to do this. And I don't believe Noah was like, he was a farmer and stuff, but I don't believe that he specifically was a winemaker. And for him to choose, the first thing that he does is to plant a vineyard and to grow wine and get drunk. I mean, not that, obviously the wine took time and there's some space in here from the time that he plants it with his intent. But was that his intent from the beginning? Is like, hey, I'm going to get some wine so I can get drunk. And then the first thing he does is he gets drunk and naked, which is really interesting. And then his sons see it and they're ashamed of his nakedness, which is interesting too, because there's so many people now that are like, oh, it's embrace nakedness, it's natural, that type of thing, which I agree. But also nakedness, depending, inspires lust. You know what I mean? It's very hard for me as a man to look at a naked woman and not just be like, to some degree. So interesting. All right, let's roll on here. Okay. May God enlarge Japheth, and may he dwell in the tents of Shem, and may Canaan be a servant. And Noah lived in the flood 350 years. So all the days of Noah were 950 years, and he died. So that's interesting too, that like life used to be so much more. What caused it over the years to go from almost a century? Like people are living almost 1,000 years, century, yeah, 1,000 years. Decades 10. So century, they're living almost a century. So like 900 years, like what transpired in, that time? Because I can't imagine, we'll find out how many hundreds of years it could be from Noah to Jesus. And if we're looking at our time calendar from, we're in 2024 now. So 2,100 years, that it could, that could, that age could drop off so much to go from 1,000 to where we're just barely doing 100, 120. All right, chapter 10, nations descend from Noah. Now, this is the genealogy of the sons of Noah: Shem, Ham, Japheth, and the sons were born after the flood. The sons of Japheth were, I'm going to do this. I apologize for anyone that's a theologian and I'm messing this up. Gomer, Magog, Madai, Javin, Tubal, Meshech, and Tyrus. The sons of Gomer were Ashkenaz, Riphath, and Togarmah. The sons of Javan were Elijah, Tarshish, Kimi, and Domin. And from the coastal peoples of the Gentiles were separated into lands, everyone according to his language, according to their families, into the nations. The sons of Ham were Cush, Mizraim, Put, and Canaan. And the sons of Cush were Seba, Haval, Sebteb, Ramath, and Sebteknah. And the sons of Ramah were Seb and Dedan. Man, I apologize for, I know I'm just destroying these. Cush begot Nimrod. He began to be a mighty one on earth. He was a mighty hunter before the Lord. Therefore it said, like Nimrod, the mighty hunter before the. That's interesting, Nimrod. Because in the 80s, when we grew up and stuff, people would call people Nimrod. They like, don't be such a Nimrod. That was an insult back in the day. So I'm interested to see if that's where that originally came from, because I had no clue. People would just be like, oh, Nimrod. And I'm wondering, I mean, it has to come from this, you know? And if you get a chance, speaking of words, look up what Nickelodeon means in Latin. That's going to blow your mind. All right. So, anyway, back to scripture. Like Nimrod, the mighty hunter before the Lord, in the beginning of the kingdom was Babel, Erech, Akkad, Callan, in the land of Shinar. From the land he went to Assyria and built Neva, Rebat, Ir, Kala, and Rezin. In Neva and Kalab, there was a principal city. Oh my goodness, this is hurting me. I wish I need somebody, if they ever see this, to like help me with these names so I can pronounce them correctly. Mizim begot Ludim, Enimim, Helab, Nephrim, Pathras, and Casluhim, from whom came the Philistines in Catherine. Excuse me. Canaan begot Sidon, his firstborn, and Heth, the Jezbite, and Amorite, and there's a lot of ites here. Girashite, the Havite, the Arkite, the Sinite. Why is everybody an ite? The Aravite, the Zemarite, the Hamathite, and afterward the families of the Canaanites were dispersed, and the border of the Canaans from Sidon as you go towards Gerar, as far as Gaza, and then you went towards Sodom and Gomorrah, and Edom and Zeboim, as far as Lashem. There were the sons of Ham, according to their families, according to their languages, and in their land. So everybody's splitting up, and they're making the nations now, as everybody's having different generations. So, you know, and you got to think that, okay, so is a generation 1,000 years back then? So, like, each of these people, if they're not killed unnaturally and they go their entire length, how long is everybody living right now? Because, you know, Noah was 900 years, everyone prior to that was 900 years. So how much is a generation back in this time? You know, for us now, like, generations roughly about 100 years, give or take, you know, probably a little bit more. But here, like, a generation be 1,000 years technically for one generation. So that's just interesting. They have all these. So how much time is actually taking place from the time of Noah, where he came off the ark and went out and became fruitful and multiplied because of God's commandment, to now that we're at the Tower of Babel? I'm gonna have to see if I can find that up. That's something maybe in the actual let's get a little map. That's interesting. Maybe in the actual study guide it will help more, but we'll get in that. So chapter 11, the Tower of Babel. So this is a last chapter for today. It's been really great. I skipped over some part. I don't want to skip over these names here. Let's see. Canaan begot, we went through all the ites, Ham, okay. And children were born to Shem, the father of the children of Eber, and the brother of Japheth, the elder. And the sons of Shem were Elam, Assur, Arphaxad, Lud, Aram. The sons of Aram were, and I'm messing these up. I'm sorry. Who's ever watching this is like, dude, how are you getting that? It's not even close, probably. I'm sorry. I apologize. Uz, Hul, Gather, and Mash. Like, to Eber were born two sons. The name of was Peleg, P-L-E-E, Peleg, maybe. For in his days of earth were divided, and his brothers' names were Joktan, and Joktan begot Almadad, Sheleph, Hazar, Mas, Jaram, Hadoram, Uzul, Dekal, Obul. I'm so sorry. no, Seba, Oriph, Halve, and Jobab. And these were the sons of Joktan, and their dwelling place from Mesa as you go towards Sephar, the mountain of the east. And there were the sons of Shem, according to their families, according to their languages, and in the lands according to their nations. These were the families of the sons of Noah, according to the generations and the nations, and from the nations were divided on the earth in a flood. Now, going into Tower of Babel. So this is interesting. Okay. Still, I'm curious, and I would love to find out what the timeline people are predicting from Noah to now to the Tower of Babel. Now the whole earth had one language and one speech, and it came to pass as they journeyed from the east that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. Then they said to one another, "Come, let us take bricks and bake them thoroughly." And they had one brick for stone, and they had asphalt for mortar. And they said, "Come, let us build ourselves a city, and a tower whose top is in the heavens. Let us make a name for ourselves, lest we be scattered abroad over the face of the whole earth." But the Lord came down to see the city and the tower which the sons of men had built. And the Lord said, "Indeed, the people are one, and they have one language, and this is what they and this is what they began to do. Now nothing that they propose will be withheld from them. Come, let us go down and there confuse their language." This is us again. Interesting. Come, let us go down and there confuse their language, that they may not understand one another's speech. So the Lord scattered them abroad from there over the face of the earth, and they ceased to build the city. Therefore the name was Babel, because there the Lord confused the language of all earth, and from there the Lord scattered abroad over the face of the earth. Shem's descendants. This is the genealogy of Shem. So interesting, like, was it there? Why did he decide to scatter them? Was it because they were trying to build something up to the heavens, even though it's not really possible? You know, if there was possible, we would probably found it by now through flight and different things like that, if heaven was like a thing up in the actual sky. So they're building a tower to try and get up somewhere that doesn't matter really. Why would God come down and scatter them? Was it their hubris of them thinking that they could build something to heaven? So he's just like, you know what? I don't even like this, so we're just gonna. So I'm interested on what was the actual reason, and not that we will ever understand God's reasoning, and I'm not trying to say that, but I'm wondering what other people that have seen this before that are breaking down what their thought would be. Why would God want to break this up? There's nothing in what I'm reading right now that's like, hey, the Lord was displeased because they were trying and because they're even thinking about getting to him, you know. We'll have to read. I'll see. So we're in Shem now. Shem's genealogy. This is genealogy of Shem. Shem was 100 years old and begot. See, he's only 100 here. Begot Arphaxad 2 years after the flood. After he begot Arphaxad, Shem lived 500 years and begot sons and daughters. So here we are. So it's like 500 years. Okay. There's got to be a timeline. I'll have to find that. Arphaxad lived 35 years, and he begot. That's crazy how different the years have already. Because everybody wasn't starting to like have families till they hit like 100 before, you know, in the earlier parts of Genesis, and now he's at 35, and he's starting. Not that, you know, it's just interesting that it's like a third, and they're starting a family it out. Is that just because they want to be fruitful and multiply? I'm wondering what that is right there, you know. So Arphaxad did live 400 years and 403 years and begot sons and daughters. And none of the daughters are mentioned. It's funny. I know that in the old culture and stuff back then, you know, women were looked down upon much more than men. But it's funny that only certain wives get any notoriety in here. let's see. Shalha lived 30 years and begot Eber, and after he begot Eber, Salah lived 403 years and begot sons and daughters. Eber lived 34 years and begot Peleg. After he begot Peleg, Eber lived 430 years and begot sons and daughters. So is this their whole lifespan? They're saying now that more people are hitting right around the 400 and a half, 430, 400 year mark, and they're gone and they go pass away, because they're not saying, before they would say he lived so much and then he died. They're not saying that here. So interesting. Peleg lived 30 years and begot Reu. After Reu he begot Reu, he lived 209 years and begot sons. And we're dropping quick. I mean, here we're going 400. Here, Peleg's only living 209. Reu lived 30 years and begot Serug. After he begot Serug, Reu lived 207 years and begot sons and daughters. Serug lived 35 years and begot Nahor. After he begot Nahor, Serug lived 200 years and begot. Wow, we're dropping so quick. In just these couple of, it's still 400 years between life and death of the others, but we've already cut that lifespan in half just in these last centuries. So what's happening in Shem's lifespan in his descendants to cause lifespan to be dropping so much? Interesting. Because if you look at the beginning, like I said, no of them were living, they were hitting 1,000. And now we've got people that are living only to, a couple hundred years. Of course, now we've cut that in half to we're only 100, 130 max. But it's just interesting here. So next, let's see if anybody's got anything to say in the comments real quick here. Let's turn on chat. Nope, no, not yet. All right. So Nahor lived 29 years and begot Terah. After he begot Terah, Nahor lived 119 years and begot sons and daughters. Now we're back to 119 years. I mean, that's crazy. Now Terah lived 70 years and begot Abram and Nahor and Haran. Sorry, I'm messing these up. Terah's descendants. Man, more descendants. All right, so we're going to wrap it up with Terah's descendants for today. This is the genealogy of Terah. Terah begot Abram, Nahor, and Haran. Haran begot Lot. Haran died before his father Terah in his native land of Ur and of the Chaldeans. Then Abram and Nahor took wives, and the name of Abram's wife was Sarah, I believe is that what's supposed to be, Sarah. And the name of Nahor's wife, Michaela. And the daughters of Haran, the father of Micaiah, and the son of Isaac. But Sarah was barren, and she had no children. And Terah took his sons Abram and his son's grandson Lot, the son of Haran, and his daughter-in-law Sarah, and his son Abram's wife, and they went out with them from Ur of the Chaldeans to go to the land of Canaan, and they came to Haran and dwelt there. So the days of Terah were 205 years, and Terah died in Haran. So this is the first one in a while that they've said actually died. And so he died at 205, which is still very low. So interesting. Most of that was pretty much genealogy. They did talk about the Tower of Babel, which was sort of interesting. I'm still unsure of why God was so displeased with the tower. That's something I would really like to figure out. So next we'll be reading chapters 12, 13, and 14. It looks like every day we'll be doing 3 chapters unless the plan goes differently. And thanks everyone for joining. I appreciate today. Today was a good read. If you ever have any comments or concerns or anything, please drop them in the chat. I'd love to hear your interpretations of what I'm reading, or how maybe it's been passed down to you over years and generations. Put my little glasses back on here, so damn, now I look cool, not so old. So anyway, and we'll be reading that tomorrow. So thanks everyone for joining. This has been a real pleasure. For anyone that even watches for just a second, if I can help bring you a little closer to the Lord through me trying to understand and read His Word, I can't think of anything better than I'd rather do. Helps give me a great start to my day. Thank you very much for tuning in.